Timmy, how would you feel your first couple days have been while being here at the club?
I feel right at home with the weather, I'll tell you that much. But no, I feel great. Everyone's been very welcoming. I mean, everything that we discussed last week. Only had a few training sessions now, but just getting back into the swing of things. But feeling really good, feeling really welcome.
I know when we talked, you kind of expressed disappointment about not being able to be here in time for Leagues Cup, but it almost kind of feels like this period of time is like a second preseason for these guys. Does that kind of transfer over to what you've kind of seen so far with the first couple of sessions with the club?
Yeah, it helps me because it's my only preseason at this point. So, yeah, it's nice. I know we a lot of the guys were given a good number of days off to kind of rejuvenate. Guys have played a lot of minutes. So, yeah, today felt like a real preseason, and I'm sure it felt like a second preseason for a lot of the guys with the session that we had and the extra running that we've done at the end. So it would have been nice to have actual meaningful games to play, but at the same time, this gives us an opportunity to really gel and come together for the last 9 games of the season.
All right.
What are you noticing from guys like Malanda and Privet specifically?
I mean, we're just trying to form partnerships at this point. There's been a lot of mixing and matching in the couple training sessions that we've had. I think the one thing that stuck out to me is the communication aspect. And I know those guys are young and that. I was the same way when I first played in the league, and I was 22, 23 years old. It was not something that you're completely comfortable or accustomed to. So that's something that I've tried to at least have a little bit of discussion with them in terms of how do we and how do they get better is communicating, and it solves a lot of problems before they arise. So. But yeah, watching him play, obviously, Addy's a very technical player, very good player, good with the ball, very physical, and Priv is very technical himself, very good with the ball and very calm, very I think beyond what his age is and the development that he's had. So he reminds me of me when I first started, which. I hope bodes well. But yeah, just watching those two kind of play together and then seeing them individually has been good to understand how they operate and how they work.
And then what are you hoping maybe to add just kind of in the immediate impact, given that there's 8 or 9 MLS matches left?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is experience. I've obviously seen a lot of situations, a lot of game situations, a lot of different kind of things play out in a lot of games over the years, and it's just kind of seeing patterns and seeing how things play out, seeing things before they develop and as they develop. So hopefully, there was a situation in training the other day where I think Addy really wanted to get after a guy and ended up running past one of the midfielders and just having conversations after the fact, like, if we do that, we leave gaps behind us and put other people in trouble. So, yeah, just bringing experience and understanding what each situation and certain situations call for in terms of whether we're stepping out or whether we're staying solid and staying a unit. So, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, bringing the experience and the understanding what each and every play, but each and every game brings.
Steve.
Hey, Tim. Welcome to Charlotte.
Thank you.
You've only played for 3 clubs in your professional career.
Mm-hmm.
First 2 in New York and stuff. But you had been at Chicago academy team?
PDL, yeah. I guess it would fall under USL now.
Did they have any rights to you before that? Or so
No.
it was a clean draft for New York?
Yep.
With that. Now, in the transitions you made, because, I mean, just a couple of years here in MLS before you went over to Bolton, how was the transition, like you're making now into this team? How do you compare it to, like, going into Bolton and then later going to Fulham?
I mean, the way I always treat any transition is you have to go in and you have to earn your place. You have to obviously take care of what you can off the field and make sure that you're settled and doing the right things off the field, and then come in and just put your head down and work. And I don't think that changes no matter what your age is, how many clubs you've played for, how many countries you've played in. I think the basis of having a long career is putting your head down and just getting after the work, understanding what is being asked of you, understanding what is being asked of the team, and then going out and doing it. Whatever the manager's going to ask you to do, you put your head down and you do it. And if that's being the first guy off the bench, or if it's being the first name on the team sheet, and starting a game, you have to just put your head down and work. And I think that makes the transition a little bit easier, because at the end of the day, it's a simple game that we're playing, and if you go in and do things simple and put in the work, the rest will take care of itself.
Because sometimes you go into, especially in England and such, because talking with the Harks and other guys who done that even at the earliest point, you come in and people see you as competition for their job, for their livelihood, and so it can be very contentious sometimes like that. Did you ever experience anything like that?
Yeah, I think you do, but I think we all understand as professionals that's natural. I don't think, no matter what profession you're in, someone new comes in, your eyes kind of open a little bit bigger, and you feel like you have to put your chest out a little bit more and work a little bit harder. And so, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's any contention within the changing room or anything like that. It's competition, and competition helps you improve. It can help you be better on and off the field. And I think ultimately that's the goal, is to continue to improve and look at each and every single day as itself, and continue to try to improve each day that you come in.
You had mentioned age, and you were a couple of years back. You were too old for the team for Qatar until you weren't, and one of the most consistent players there. And that's something that it's always going to be a factor. But how long? I mean, is age just a number? Is it something you take? Or are you going to be the American Pepe?
Yeah, for me, as long as I feel good, I'm going to keep going. People, you can't get around your age, unfortunately. I wish I could. I wish I could change it and go back and continue to play forever, but it doesn't happen. I don't really look at my age as a hindrance. I actually look at it as a positive. Like I said before, I've seen a lot of things. I've played a lot of games, experienced a lot of different situations, and it's up to me to use that to my advantage. So, I'll play as long as I feel physically and mentally good, which I do. So, people will always talk about it. It's always going to be. I can't get any younger. I'm only continuing to get older, as we all are. So. I'm not worried about it. It's one of those things that I embrace it. And in fact, I know I've said this previously. I look at it and I still try to compare myself to, the guys who were 20, 21, 22, who were within the team. And what are they doing physically? Okay, I need to be matching that physically or better, because that's the way you stay in the game. As soon as you start to think, okay, I can take my foot off the gas, and okay, fine, I am 36. The young guys, they're going to be faster, stronger, more physical. They're going to be more fit. You start to lose it. For me, I'm always comparing myself to the youngest guy on the team and the fittest guy on the team.
But that's where the wisdom comes from.
Oh, that is it.
Carol?
Hey Tim,
Hello.
I'm Carol. It was nice talking to you last week.
Yeah.
Nice to see you face to face. It's been a while since you've been in the MLS. Have you kind of watched it develop, and do you think it's going to be a little different this time around?
I have watched it from afar, until the Apple deal came in. Didn't really get too many games over there, so really was only able to see it in the off season when we would travel back. it's definitely developed. It's definitely improved. There was the reason I left in the first place because I thought my development, I needed to move on for more development. And now, looking at it now, I'm looking at this team and there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of guys who can develop further, but it's so much further than what it was when I first came in. And I had guys to learn off of, like Thierry Henry. And so the situation was a little bit different, but looking at it now, it's incredible where it was to where it is now, and it's part of why I felt comfortable and ready to make the move and come back, because it is such a higher level now.
A little bit more technical, more physical, faster?
I wouldn't say physical. I'd definitely say it's definitely more technical. I think there's more of a focus on being technical, but also being tactically astute, being fully aware of in-game situations, to where before it was okay, let's just run over people, let's just run past people, let's just be physical and we'll win that way. And now you have to find different ways to win games, and I think that's a sign of the league developing, but I think it's also a sign of the players developing, and managers developing and bringing in better managers, better players, and developing all those players in the meantime.
Red Bulls still do that sometimes.
Have you heard from anybody, since this has become public knowledge, that their reaction kind of hit you funny, or you were glad to hear from, or people say you're crazy or smart, or I don't know?
Who have I not heard from? I think I just made it through all the messages and all the phone calls by Saturday or Sunday. So obviously I was in here, announced Wednesday, and I think I finally made it through everything Saturday. But no, I think everybody, mostly it's just excitement. Congratulations. They know this is it's a big deal. It's a big deal to make this decision and make a big change. But also I think I've formed so many amazing and incredible relationships because of this game, because of what I've been able to do, that I think it's mostly just happiness for my family than anything, and I think that's the coolest thing, is that you're not getting the congratulations and everything from a soccer standpoint. You're getting it from a personal standpoint, and for me that matters more than anything to do with on-field stuff. The off-field stuff and the relationships formed over many years is pretty incredible.
Have they been able to move here yet and get settled, or start to get settled?
My family,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they just flew in yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so we figured everything out last week. They flew in yesterday, and they're waiting for me. We're actually going to tour a school today, where they're going to start next week. So getting there. It's been a long drawn out process, but we're getting there finally.
And just lastly, I guess, have you kind of clicked with some of the guys yet? Are there any personalities you respond to, or players you've been surprised by?
No, honestly, I try to connect with all the guys. I think it's important to, again, we talked about forming partnerships and relationships with everybody, and even just grabbing little bits here and there from each and every single player, whether they're close to my age, Westy, or younger, and the really young guys who are coming through. So yeah, just being able to sit next to guys in the changing rooms, sit next to guys at lunch. I wouldn't say there's anybody that I've gravitated towards yet, but there's definitely good characters within the team, and they're all good characters. I think that's probably the most important thing, is that there doesn't seem to be any bad eggs, so to speak, and that's a really good sign of a healthy club.
Cool. Just some final ones in the room before we go to the Zoom. So Will and then Steve.
It would seem conventional with your experience that you probably have been drafted by the leadership committee, and Westy is a big part of that. What's more kind of been like with your relationship with him in terms of what you've got to absorb from the captain in terms of where the culture is around the team and what's needed from you?
Him and I are in a little bit of a tug of war right now. I'm trying to rub off on him, and he's trying to rub off on me, even though I've only been here for a week. So, no, listen, just kind of taking his lead, understanding what's going on within the entire club, really, not just the playing side, and understanding kind of where he puts himself and tries to take the role and the lead. And I'm happy to play that kind of understudy at the minute. We've not had any in-depth conversations. He's more the typical English joker for the time being. I hope we can sit down and have a little bit more serious conversation, but I don't know that he has that in him. So we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, we're in a bit of a tug of war. He's trying to get me onto his side, and I'm trying to get him into the gym a little bit more. That's
Would you say who's winning?
That's based on performance, asking me to help out, but I would say it's a stalemate at the minute. But we'll see. He has stepped foot in there a few times since I've been in, so maybe I have the upper hand at the minute.
You mentioned when we talked last week about how important the off-the-field aspect was for you guys and your family. What were some of the things that you heard about Charlotte from people, whether it's inside soccer, outside soccer? What specifically about being here gravitated you toward this situation?
Yeah, I think I enjoy, well, within the team, within the club, I enjoy, seeing younger players develop. I enjoy, being able to have, like I said, the conversations and creating the personal relationships and helping guys improve every single day. It's something that helped me a lot when I was first in the league, and something that I've tried to carry on, especially as I've gotten older and become more of a leader within the teams that I played on. But I think off the field, just hearing so many people speak highly of the city and the surrounding area, how great it is for families, how great it is for young families. And finding areas that help us kind of settle in, and there were many different areas that we felt were good places for us to be. But really, it boiled down to where's the best place for professionally, but at the end of the day, where's the best place for my family, for my kids, and this was top, and we heard so many good things from so many different people who didn't know each other, and they were all confirming the same things, how great it was, how connected it was, how family oriented it was, and that was really what sold it for us.
Steve, final one.
And going back to when you were playing for St. Louis, you were probably here in Charlotte a few times.
Yeah.
You played UNCC.
Mm-hmm.
It was before Bronico was there, but as I recall, that wasn't the strongest point in Billiken soccer history, and Charlotte probably took most of those. But you didn't get a chance to see a lot of the city then. But
no, and that's actually been one of the questions I've gotten the most is, when was the last time you were here? And I tell everyone, well, probably 15 years ago, when I was at SLU, at St. Louis U, and we were playing those games. But yeah, you're right, we didn't get to see much. We were at UNC Charlotte and playing games. I would probably have to concur that they got the better hand of us most of those years. But it's one of those, looks like I got the upper hand. I'm sitting here, and a lot of those guys probably aren't. So, no, he is not. We've not had that discussion.
you were before he came.
Yeah, like you said, I'm a little bit older than most. So yeah, it's pretty understandable. I don't know that he even knows that I would have gone to SLU. He probably doesn't even know that.
But that's one of the historically strong soccer schools in the country, and just being from St. Louis, which waited a long time even after Charlotte to get their MLS team, but has been such a core of soccer culture in this country for a while. How much does that inform who you are as a person and as a player? Yeah,
it's huge. It was my entire development. I didn't leave there until I was 22 years old, which I think says a lot about you know, how comfortable I was, but B, how good the development was for me. And yes, I am a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer. Guys can seemingly leave high school now and sign a homegrown and make it in the professional ranks, and I was like a stick figure until I was probably 20 years old, and there was no way physically that I would be able to do that. So yeah, it plays a huge part. Playing for two, if not, the best youth development coach in the state of Missouri, in Tommy Howe, for Gallagher. Yeah, he was at Gallagher, and then being able to stay close to home and play at a university like SLU. It was all of my upbringing really in the game, and I credit it, and I have credited it many times over the years with shaping me as a player and as a person.
Thank you. Cool. All right, let's go to the couple people on the Zoom. Charles, we'll start with you, and then Peter and Ben will come to you after that. Charles, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, thanks. Congrats on coming home. And I use home to refer to the U.S., but it seemed like London was such a comfortable home for you for such a long time. And when we talked last year, it seemed like you were just right in the mix and riding the tiger at Fulham. So I just wonder, how did the process unfold for you and your family of the timeline and the decision, and maybe the conversations or the relationship with Charlotte unfold over this last period?
Yeah, it was home, and I think for us it was somewhere that was comfortable. The kids were in school. We had been there, like you said, for 9 years, and I don't know. We started to have conversations after, my wife and I, after Nations League, and we started to kind of feel a pull to come back, family wise, not just my immediate family and my kids and my wife, but closer to her family, closer to my family, but not too close, obviously, and so. Yeah, we just had a lot of conversations. There were a few things that happened in our own kind of lives throughout the course of last season that I think was kind of the beginning of the snowball, so to speak. But we didn't really sit down and have serious conversations until after Nations League, and then I sat down with Fulham immediately after the season finished and kind of told them where I was, how I felt, how the family felt, and kind of what we were thinking, and then from there it was just making some phone calls and deciding what the best fit was, and obviously we ended up here because we felt like this was the very best fit for us as a family, and at the end of the day, I've always said that and everybody can look back at all the interviews they want to look at and the videos, and I get to do this because of them, because of my wife, because of the sacrifices that they make, and there are a lot of things that I've missed, and a lot of times that they've been put second, and it was time to decide that they were. They needed to come first in this situation. So that's really what it boiled down to is putting them first, while still being able to do what I love to do, and that's play the game. And this was the opportunity that came up, and one that we grabbed with both hands.
Was it always Charlotte, or did you have other clubs in the mix?
That's a great question. I don't know. I left that to my agent, and when he said this was going to be the best fit, I had a few conversations with Zorn and Bobby and the manager, and from that point on, it was only going to be here, and we dove in head first from that first conversation, and made sure to find schools first, and then try to find a place to live, and sort everything else from there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Charles. Peter.
Hi Tim, it's good to see you.
I'm disappointed you didn't fly here, Peter.
Yeah, I have a word with the desk about that after your project issue. So thanks to Charlotte for allowing me to come on by video. Congratulations on the move, Tim. I just wanted to follow up a little bit on what Charles was asking there. It seems like a very personal decision, this move. I was wondering, from a professional standpoint, how you were feeling towards the end of the season, and how Fulham were with you in terms of there was still a place for you there. Was that the case? And this was just a decision that you felt was right for your family, or what was the professional context as well?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I sat down, like I said, the day after the season finished, and sat down with Marco, and we had a good chat, and I told him and they wanted me to stay. They did. They tried to push me to stay and really think about it. But as you know, over many conversations, it's not so much once I get something in my head that I go for it, but I really think through things, and I really, we had really thought through this whole move, and it was, yeah, for us personally, as a family, it was the right thing to do. It was time to move on, and there was a difficult period of back and forth, where we thought, okay, it potentially may not come to fruition and may not happen, but in the end, I think both sides understood each other really well, as you would expect after spending 9 years together, and we're able to come to a conclusion, and at the same time grab a player to come in to fill my void, and that was really the end of it. I think if I can, I've thanked them, because I know I put them in a difficult spot, by signing a year extension last January or whatever time it was, and then going to them, and so I knew that it was going to be a little bit of a back and forth, but at the end of the day, I think, again, when you've been somewhere for so long and you understand the club and the club understands you, I think we all came to a pretty good conclusion to it.
There was that little delay, and you mentioned obviously Fulham bringing in someone to replace you. Was that purely the basis of the delay? Was there any uncertainty in that period? Because it seemed like, from my understanding of the deal progressing, it took a little bit of time to get this over the line.
Yeah, that was the only delay really, is that they wanted to make sure that they had somebody to come in. From our standpoint, it was a little bit. It was a little bit strange because I wasn't training with the team anyway. I'd been given time off after Copa America, so that was the only. I think for us, we were like, well, I'm not training anyway, so it's not like you're going to be missing out on me. But once I had spoken to the manager, and he had told me that they were working on a few things behind the scenes. It was just a matter of when, not if, and just kind of sitting back and waiting and knowing that the time would come. It was just when that time would come.
You've obviously got a fantastic relationship with the supporters at Fulham, and I'm sure you're aware of all the messages you've had. I was wondering, at the end of the season, did you have an idea at that point, that big game? Did you feel like you got your goodbye with the supporters at that moment?
I feel like I did. I don't think, obviously they didn't know, and I don't know that anything would have been much different. It was a pretty special moment to end that way. I've actually been thinking about it, and my first game was played at right center back. My 300th game was played against, my first game was at right center back against Sheffield United. My 300th game was Sheffield United. My last game for Fulham was right center back. So it's funny how the game comes in circles. So yeah, it was nice. For me, I think from all the messages that are still trickling in, I think they would like a proper goodbye, and I'm sure I'll make my way back there at some point when the season here is finished. But I had as long as the club was in agreement, I knew that was probably going to be the last time that I set foot on a pitch for the club, and it was a pretty special moment. But I think more than anything, as I've always said, the relationships and the everything that's formed through 9 years, the messages that have come through have been, it's been emotional to be completely honest with you, as you would expect. And to think that some kids are telling me, I came to my first game at 8 and now I'm 17, and you've always been there. I think when those messages come through, and the messages from parents saying that their kids are upset, it's nice that you've had that kind of impact on people and on a club.
I'm sure we'll see you back in the cottage soon, and I'm sure that's something you plan in the near future. Yeah,
for sure. I've already been in contact with a few people there to try to plan out a time to come back. Obviously, my complete focus is here for at least the next 9 games, and then going into the playoffs, and we'll see what happens after that. We'll have some time off, I'm sure, and I'll be able to come back and say a proper goodbye.
Just on a personal standpoint, it's always been a pleasure to deal with you, Tim. So I wish you all the best at Charlotte, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. All right, final one here, Ben Jacobs.
Hey Tim, Ben Jacobs from TalkSport. Congratulations on your move. Just wanted to come back, if I could, to age. And you said earlier that you just want to keep playing. But if I can ask you a little bit more explicitly, can you confirm that you're definitely looking for selection for the World Cup in America 2026?
I mean, yeah. I think there's no reason that I shouldn't be. I understand that playing is an important part of that, but I'm not going to take myself out of a hat just because people want me to, or people think I'm too old. I don't see the point of that. Like I said before, it's a matter of just continuing to put my head down. And if I get picked, I get picked. If I don't, I don't. It's one of those things that it's partially under my control and partially not. And when it comes down to hiring a manager, and the manager does or doesn't pick me, then that's his prerogative, and something that you have to deal with and live with. But I'm not taking my name out of the hat or retiring from the national team by any means. Like I said, I won't do that until I retire fully. So yeah, my name's fully there, and if I'm there, great. If I'm not, then that's someone else's decision.
As you allude to, a lot will depend on the new manager coming in. As a player, do you have a preference? Do you think that the manager on a home World Cup should be American, or would it be more beneficial to have somebody come in with pedigrees such as Maurizio Pochettino, who's been linked with the vacancy?
I don't care. For me, it's whoever is there, you have to perform. Whoever's there, you have to work hard. Whoever's there, you have to put your head down and do the things that you don't necessarily want to do every day. So whether it's someone with pedigree, whether it's someone who's American, whether it's someone who's American that has pedigree, whether it's someone from Mars, you're still going to have to go in and still perform. You're still going to have to go in and train hard every day. You're still going to go in and have to prove yourself at your club, and prove yourself within the group with the national team. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's in there. You have to go and prove yourself each and every single day, each and every single training session, and that won't ever change. It doesn't matter who the manager will be.
you're obviously only focused on football at the moment, but Charlotte have got this amazing and relatively new training facility. You've got Christian Fuchs working at the club, who's about 2 years older than you, and he's transitioned from playing into coaching. Have you thought about life after football, and have you got any aspirations to go into coaching?
Yes, I have thought about life after, and no, I have no aspirations of going into coaching. These guys work just as hard as we do, if not harder. And the amount of going back to family, again, I said this before, people will be so annoyed with me, I'm sure, by the end of my time here, that I only talk about my family. But, you know, with all the national team responsibilities, with all the traveling, with all the games, with all the preseason and the, you know, the trips you take away and the things that you miss out on, it would be even greater if I go straight into a coaching role. And I have the utmost respect for those who do, you know, go into coaching, but I also understand how much time that I've already put into the game and how much time my family has not had me at their disposal, and not had me, you know, under the same roof. So it's not something that I'm looking at. I won't ever say never, but it's definitely not something that is on my radar, you know, at this point.
Just lastly from me, you've got a lot of experience and a big character. João Paulinho has left as well. What do you think Fulham are capable of this season?
I think they're capable of top half. I think as we, I said it last year, as long as you hold on to Marco, then the club will be fine. He'll work his magic and he'll put guys into succeed, and he'll put, you know, he'll improve the guys that maybe haven't played as much, and they'll slot right in. So there's no doubt in my mind that they can finish top half. We were inconsistent last year, but I think with a little bit of more consistency, and as long as Marco stays, I think they're going to be in a good spot this year as well.
Good luck, Tim. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thanks Ben. Thanks for the extended time, Tim. We'll wrap up there. Thanks everyone.
One last one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dean Smith has an agreement with the backline of, you know, if they keep a clean sheet, you know, they get one.
I've heard this.
Right. So
I heard he's behind on payment as well.
your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, which is what I told you, is that I will hold him accountable, and he better pay up for the guys who have been here. But I like it. It's good. I don't know if, because it's such a young backline, that they're really into wine.
Have you figured out who drinks the most?
No,
Okay.
not at all. It's none of my business. As long as they're performing.
You've been in London for a decade. You're definitely going to have
Wine?
Well, no, in general.
Oh, I like wine. So if he wants to pay me in wine, he can pay me in
Red or
wine.
white?
I'm a red guy.
Can I just ask one more question about Privet being a young guy playing left side? He's a competitive guy, you're a competitive guy. Do you come in and kind of go out of your way to be like, you know, not make him feel awkward, or, you know, like, how do you?
No, I think you just come in and you just be yourself. Obviously, we're all competitive, or else we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, that's pretty normal. But no, I don't think there's no awkwardness. There's no kind of looking at each other, like sizing each other up. It's more, okay, how, and then I said this last week, how can I add to the group? I'm not trying to subtract from the group. I'm trying to add to the group. How do him and I form a partnership? How do Addy and myself form a partnership? What does their partnership look like? And that's just looking at things and studying film and understanding the way each of them play, because they both played, you know, they play differently, as we all do. We all play differently from each other, and it's just understanding. But no, there's nothing. I didn't come in and look at him and he look at me and yeah, good one. We'll see out on the field. It's completely normal, coming in and knowing that there are going to be challenges, knowing that we're all in competition. It's not just, you know, not just Priv and I, or not just, you know, Addie and I, Bill and I, like we're all, it's a constant kind of rotation. It's a constant understanding of each other and trying to understand each other's game as quickly as possible.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Is there any fraternity